afternoon, I'm Nikki Stimson at GBTA Europe Conference here in Brussels, and I'm delighted today to be joined by Peter Grover, Managing Director for EMEA for Tripbam. Hi Peter, how are you? Nice to see you again.
I'm very good, thanks. How are you?
Yes, good.
Enjoying the day?
Very busy, but great day, and yeah, it's good to see everybody in person again, isn't it?
Very much so.
So let's get down to business then and discuss what we want to talk about. And so one of the things that Tripbam's been focusing on is helping companies get better pricing for hotels and now airfares. But you're also now catching contract issues, which is quite an interesting angle. And that's cutting into obviously corporate savings, which is something that perhaps corporates are very attuned to at the moment. What's the biggest problems you're seeing with hotel contracts in particular?
Well, I think, Nikki, first of all, you're right. So we started off back in 2013 when we started doing hotel reshop, sort of price assurance.
Yes.
That was sort of a big success, but it also started to feed us lots and lots of data about the rates people were paying in individual properties. So we found that we could also use that to start comparing one organisation's rates to another. So hard on the heels of reshopping came sort of hotel intelligence, which looks at that benchmarking aspect.
Yep.
Following on from that, we realised that there were gaps in people's programme because they didn't have every hotel contracted. So we launched something called smart sourcing, and that again allowed them to add more properties to their programme as they went through the year, or demand sort of ebbed and flowed and they could bring in additional properties and let others go.
Right, okay, so then, offering some flexibility then.
Exactly, making it a much more dynamic programme.
Yeah.
And then off the back of that, we started to realise that people weren't getting their rates anywhere near as often as they, and even we, thought they were. You know, to your question, that can come from a number of reasons. Sometimes they're just loaded incorrectly. Sometimes they're not loaded at all. Sometimes they're transposed, where the digits get moved from one to the other. We've got one particular one on air, which where the rate loaded should have had a 30% discount, but only had 3. And there's so many opportunities through the sort of loading of these rates and these fares for these things to happen. We're finding them in probably 15% of cases. We're finding that the rates aren't as they should be, or as the corporate travel manager thinks they should be.
Right. And is it the same problem in the hotel sector as it is in the air sector? Are you seeing the same kind of trends?
They're very similar.
Right.
So a lot of the trends are the same. Sometimes proportionately they're slightly different in terms of whether it's a load issue or whether it's a transposed number. Or sometimes we've had, in hotels, we've had points where what was meant to be a fixed rate has been put in as a bottom rate. So where it should be a cap, it's gone in as a base rate. And so with the dual loading, it means that the rate's never going below that, when in fact that should be the cap.
Yes.
So it's all quite complicated on both the hotel element, but yeah, lots of different permutations. So it's across the board really, but you're right. The air and hotel contract audit piece is very similar in principle. Okay,
interesting. So how do these problems translate into paying more for customers? Have you got any examples of how you've been able to help young customers in particular?
I can't use specific names because some of the organisations are fairly precious about that type of thing. But we have one instance in the US where we saved over 300,000 from plugging some of these gaps. We've been doing this for about 18 months now, and sort of it's well out of the pilot stage and is being implemented across mostly multinational organisations, but obviously the scale of the savings is off the chart and is surprising to everyone. And like I say, it's not always, in fact most of the time it's not deliberate, there's just mistakes creep in a convoluted process of rate and fare loading that means that stuff falls through the cracks.
Yes, yeah. But a great time to be talking about this given the economy at the moment and the challenges.
As you said, many travel managers assume that with 50% of travel this year, it would cost 50% of 2019. But it hasn't done that. No. It's cost a lot more. If you've got 50% of travel, you've probably got 75% of the cost. So anything that we can do to bring those costs down, again, it's not through any fault of anyone else's, it's just leakage and reshop and price assurance, all of those put together, and helping move travellers into preferred properties and out of non-preferred where there isn't any discount. All of that adds up to sort of a 20% plus saving on someone's travel budget. Yeah. So yeah, you're absolutely right. Now's the time.
Now's the time, absolutely. Oh, thank you, Peter, for your insights this afternoon. I'm Nikki Stimson at GBTA Europe Conference here in Brussels. Thank you so much for tuning in.